join us today. As we get started, with today's program, I want to just kind of point out a few things. As Indigenous people, trauma, change, overwhelming difficulties often are addressed through collective action. It is what our ancestors have done since time. The coronavirus is here, and to access collective coping strategies, to access the collective strength of our people. That's why we created Tele-Native to increase a community to offer space for Native youth to address the impact of COVID-19 on our communities, with the communities that they represent. With that being said, I know that there's a lot of other things that are going on in this world today, and it's very, very important that we all play our part. You don't have to be on a webinar to make a difference and to make an impact. You can do it in your own home. You can do it in your community. You can do it in your family, whatever it may be. So we're very grateful and thankful that you are tuned in with us. And we have a great lineup today. And at this time, again, I'm serving as the host. This time, I would like to turn this portion of the program to our four amazing presenters, panelists, whatever it may be. And then we'll just kind of go down the road. So I'll go ahead and turn this over to you, Anna Hongwas.
Hi, Tego. I'm Anna Hongwas. I'm Wolf Clan Cayuga, and I live on Six Nations Reserve.
How about you there? Go ahead there, Xavier.
Pevatamano Hio Nashave. Nana Chistat Not Sutta. Hello, my name is Xavier Littlehead, and I come from the Northern Cheyenne and Navajo peoples. I was born in Lawrence, Kansas, and then kind of grew up in Lame Deer, Montana. And now I make my home again back in Lawrence, Kansas at Haskell New Nations University. And thanks for having me today.
All right. How about you there, Thosh and Chelsea?
Hamadakiapi, hello relatives. My name is Chelsea Lugar, and I'm originally from the Turtle Mountain Band of Chippewa and from the Standing Rock and Cheyenne River Sioux tribes in the Dakotas. And I now live in Phoenix, Arizona with my lovely little family here.
Good Thosh, everyone. Anya Chugik Thosh Colins. My name is Thosh. I'm from the Onk-Akimel, the Salt River people. When we are right around Phoenix area, and I'm also Haudenosaunee and Wajaji on my mama's side, and just very happy to be here. One of the co-founders of our Indigenous Wellness Initiative, Well for Culture, and I sit on the board of the Native Wellness Institute. So I'm just glad to be joined here. Thank you, Chance, for being well and for being here moderating, and thank the other two young people for being here, and I look forward to learning about them.
Well, and I thank you, Thosh, for that word of encouragement. Hey, what's so crazy about this lineup here is it's special when you get involved. Great things happen to you, such as this lineup here. I know I have a connection with everybody here with Anna Hongwas, her mother, Tia, that I met back in the day. Obviously, I went to school with Ruben. I went to school with Ruben, and now I know him as Sonny, but a lot of y'all know him as Xavier. And then, even with Thosh and Chelsea, I remember that I used to try to hang out with a group called Culture Shock Camp. And I know that we used to go all over the place, and, we came across some B-boys, and one of the greatest B-boy crews was the Sour Patch Kids. And my boy Thosh was on that squad. And then even, believe it or not, Chelsea, your mom was one of the very first people to give me a speaking engagement up in North Dakota, Dr. Donna Brown. So, I think she told somebody to tell somebody or whatever it may be, but that connection, and a lot of it just came through me being an athlete, and when you promote movement, what that does is that encourages you to work other aspects of your life. If I wasn't an athlete, if I wasn't, somebody that was exciting or try to be excited about things, or a network, whatever it may be, all of it came through expression. And one of my main expressions was movement. I always had to be moving and doing things. And so for Tele-Native and for Center for Native American Youth to have an episode 2 is really meaningful. And I know that whatever it may be, athletics or sports or or exercising or fitness, to this day, it's saving our lives. And a lot of times when we hear that word saving our lives, we often think of, like being troubled or whatever it may be. But people who are well and balanced, movement saves your lives. And, I don't know if some of y'all may know, but real quick, me and my business partner, we were in a really bad accident this past weekend. And, I'll be honest with you, if I wasn't in shape, if I wasn't, if I didn't exercise and stretch and all that, no telling where, what could have happened. But, movement somehow trickled to that accident, and it got me through it. So thank you guys for all being here, and I'm proud of each and every one of you. For some of y'all who are chiming in, my name is Chance Rush. I'm Hidatsa, Dakota, Arapaho. I make my home in Tulsa, Oklahoma. I am very grateful and thankful that Center for Native American Youth has given me the opportunity to host such a great lineup. So with that being said, Kimaura, some of y'all know you by Kimaura Schindler, and I've had the privilege to get to know you through your Indian name, and I apologize. I do not want to mess it up at all. But Anahangwas, I have a question for you. For some of you that may not know this, she's very young, but she plays, with older athletes, and that's how good she is. And so actually, before I ask her the first question, I just want to go down the table. We'll go Anahangwas first. We'll go with Xavier, and then we'll finish out with Chelsea and Thosh. But through this pandemic, how have you guys promoted and prioritized fitness and movement exercise to our Native youth and communities? We'll go, Ms. Schindler, we'll start with you. Go ahead.
The main part is helping my brothers and sisters, because we're constantly on the go. And now with COVID, they're upset because my little brother is going to be his first year. And so we're just helping that. And me and my dad, we also made a video explaining just the basics of lacrosse and just spreading it to other people.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead there, Sonny.
How have I promoted movement? Well, I like how she was saying, I got little siblings. I got one little brother, Ruben Jr. He's 18 right now. And I got a little sister. She's 7. Or no, she's 8. Haven, she's 8. And I got another little brother, baby brother. He's just turned 5. And I promote movement and getting up and moving with them every day. Most of the time, I'm the one encouraging them, but sometimes they're encouraging me to get up and move with them as well. But I'll also, a lot of times I use social media, like my stories or on Snapchat or Instagram or Facebook. I'll be posting about just different exercises and different things I'm doing to kind of inspire my peers, and which they do, because I got I'll be tagging some of my friends when I'm videotaping my workouts, and then they'll tag me back, and then I imagine it just kind of branches off there. I hope it does. I mean, that's why I do it, to kind of inspire others, encourage others, because when my friends do it and I see them, it encourages me to get up and go move and work out.
Cool. And then Chelsea and Thosh, you guys been doing some crazy things way before the pandemic, so how do you keep promoting it to ones that we all have to stop and say, wow, the world has stopped, so let me get to it. So how have you been promoting and prioritizing?
We're just continuing to try to share unique, innovative fitness and movement content on our platform, which is called Well for Culture. We feel really grateful that we have a pretty big community of other natives who are interested in health and wellness that are following along on there. And then from our personal pages as well, I would say Thosh has been doing quite a bit more than I have. But I also will say that I think that what these two youth have just mentioned that they're doing is so important. And we always emphasize that that's really where it starts, is in the home and in being a role model for your brothers and sisters, for your younger relatives, for those around you. That's really important. That's where it starts.
Yeah, we've just been continuing to utilize social media as a platform to help inspire people, and not so much be instructional, I guess, but really just continue to help motivate and inspire people, and share about the concepts of how movement has always been a part of our culture. It's always been a part of our way of life as Native people. And today, like Chelsea always says, we shouldn't see movement as something that is recreational, but we should see it as something that is crucial. It's part of our culture today. We have to embrace some modality of movement in order to stay spiritually, physically, mentally, emotionally well. Because as we know today in the sedentary culture, the diseases of modernity that we are facing today, that, you know, it's much different than our ancestors. So we have to consciously make a decision to continue to move and explore all the different modalities of movement. And so, yeah, it's been a good opportunity for us to continue to just hunker down and can share on social media and share from our personal accounts, just like Xavier had mentioned, share from our personal accounts and tag people and just engage in fun fitness challenges and things like that, you know, just to really inspire everyone. So that's what we've been doing, and we've been seeing a lot of great feedback all across social media. People are embracing home workouts, embracing Earth Gym, embracing working what they got and learning to move their own physical body and just kind of adapt. And that's what we as Native people have always done, right? We've always adapted. So that's what we're seeing during this time.
You know, you're absolutely right. You know, that movement is more than a sport. It is a responsibility. You know, I mean, that's how we survived, you know, all these years is we were fit, you know, and, you know, it's important for our young people to see that. And I'm very grateful for the center for putting this lineup up, these past two lineups up, because, you know, this is a responsibility, especially in the era that we're in, you know, and the way that, you know, how COVID is. You know, the best thing that you can do is stay in shape. The best thing you can do is eat good. The best thing you can do is hygiene and, you know, keep yourself clean, keep yourself, you know, whole and whatnot. So my first question, I'm going to go over here to Kimaura. I'm just going to ask you, you know, you talked about lacrosse, and I just mentioned that you know, what we do is more than just a sport. It's a responsibility. So lacrosse is a sport. It's one of the fastest growing sports in the world, behind soccer. You know, programs everywhere are starting to pick up lacrosse now. And some of these teams, they don't know where it came from. They play it just to win. They play it to win a state title, whatever it may be. So my question to you this afternoon is, how would you explain that lacrosse is more than a sport?
I would say, well, obviously it's a medicine game, right? And the creator gave it to us to be helpful, and the medicines that it gives us. And it also helps me share my culture with people that don't know. Like, I'm the only Native girl on my lacrosse team, so me being able to share my culture and share what it's about. And also, I think it's a medicine game for not only us, but everybody, you know, helping with their mental health and physical too.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Is there some things that you wish that they, like a teammate, is there something that you wish they would understand better, or are you just glad that you're on their team and that they're playing?
Well, I think it's obviously just the whole thing in general, just not knowing about what natives are about and not knowing the culture. And I think it's just plain as they don't know, like they weren't taught it. They just don't know.
Yeah. Okay. Because culture is important. You think of movement, you think of culture, and you think of responsibility. So my next question, we'll go over here to Xavier, and you know, even though I ask you some questions, if any of you all want to chime in, you know, feel free to, and we'll go from there. And maybe even if there's some people from the Facebook Live, if you have a question, we'll do the best that we can to try to get that answer for you. But we're talking about movement as medicine, talking about culture. So Xavier, how does your identity help you on the court? And you know, if you can share a few of the things that motivate you on the court. So my question would be to you, I apologize for that. We're talking about culture. does your identity help you on the court? And if so, what are a few of your motivations?
I really feel that my Native identity really does help me on not only on the court, but like anything I do, because naturally, like, Natives are really underrepresented in a lot of things. And in my case, I like to kind of pioneer athletics in the basketball world. Like where I come from in Lame Dude, there's not a whole lot going on. There's not a lot of hoopers that make the collegiate level. Mm-hmm. And I want to kind of break the barrier again. I mean, there's some, but not recently, and I want to help break the barrier, especially for like native young men. It just hasn't. There's always been talent, but there hasn't been just that extra step just to kind of take it to the next level. And I really want to be a role model for that for the people back home and a lot of Indian country. Well, also, like, my Native identity kind of helps me on the court, like, kind of gives me a little chip on my shoulder sometimes when I play different teams. Like, growing up, you hear stories from, like, my grandpa, Philip, little white man, and my late grandpa, Daniel Fudd, and even my dad would kind of tell me old stories about, I don't want to go into a history lesson, but, you know, but, like, it gives you a chip on your shoulder when you play against certain races, I guess. I don't know, but it's on the court, it's like a mini battle, I feel, and you feel a sense of pride when you win, and I feel like that's one of the motivations that helps me to work out and always be the best that I can be. Mm-hmm. In anything, whether it be just, I don't know.
No, but I know what you're saying, because, you know, there's a lot of Native kids that they won't try something because they either get out of their comfort zone, they may not know how to handle it, or because they're a little hesitant to step up to the plate. You know, as a former runner, and I know that all of you guys as former athletes can contest to it, that, you know, you do have to, like, you are out there. Sometimes it does feel like you're against the world, because, you know, a lot of people have doubted you, whether it's your very own, whatever it may be. You know, real talk, you know, yeah, you're always gonna get those stories of people saying, you know, well, I can't believe you made it because you came from a reservation and you this and that, you know. But there's even also some of our own people that try to, you know, put us down because, you know, we're out there doing it, you know. And I you know, and Thosh, I'm gonna ask you here in a little bit, but I think a lot of the health disparities that we have out there in our communities, some of our communities, is that there's not that motivating factor to encourage, you know, more and more of our Native youth to get out there and exercise. So I know exactly what you're saying, you know, Sonny. I mean, Xavier, on that whole having a chip on your shoulder, you know. And a lot of people say, you know, you shouldn't have a chip on your shoulder, but no one's been in your shoes, you know. And if you have a chip on your shoulder, as long as it's healthy and it keeps you balanced, then play with it, you know. So, yeah. Hey, Chelsea and Thosh, man. Now I've watched you guys do health, wellness, fitness on a whole nother level, a whole nother perspective. It's like you guys get deeper. And I've always kind of lived off of that medicine wheel concept. You know, I think that I am who I am today because of that medicine wheel concept. But my answer was to you is, why is it important to promote the mental, physical, spiritual, and emotional elements of movement?
Yeah, that's a good one. And, you know, a lot of times, like in dominant culture, we only really hear about, you know, the physical benefits of movement. Now we're starting to hear about the neurological benefits of movement and a little bit about, you know, the emotional benefits. But I think that that's something that our ancestors have always understood, right? And that's why movement was always a part of the culture, whether it would be games for entertainment or games to help heal the people or games to settle conflict or even different types of training methods that they would do to prepare themselves for battle, you know. And so they understood that. And even the ceremony, all the movements involved in all of our ceremony, like down in the Southwest, we always have runs that are involved. All of our people had danced, right? And it was because they understood that there's the spiritual component to movement. They understood that when they're moving the bodies for a certain cause, that it's like the bodies, we give off that energy, and we're connecting to that greater source that is hearing our thoughts, or hearing what it is, that the direction in which we're trying to go, our collective purpose, right, for doing that. And so they always understood that. And I think today, when we look at it from kind of like a more modern sense, where we are looking at more fitness for health, to stay well, to reduce our risk of disease, I think that we can also look at that from a cultural standpoint, that we're doing something that's been a part of a culture for a long time. And when we move, we're honoring our bodies. That's what I always say, when we do physical movement, it's a way of giving thanks for our body, for our arms, our legs. And I know a lot of you probably heard that too growing up, when people talked about that we should not take it for granted that we have all of our arms and legs. My dad used to say that, get outside and play and run and move and do these things, because the Creator gave you this body. And so I always think about today is like, when we exercise, sure, we're exercising to, maintain our healthy blood sugar, or reduce blood sugar, or reduce body fat, or get stronger, or help our heart. But we're also moving to give thanks. So I always say that movement is like a ceremony, in a way, that we're giving thanks to our body. And I encourage everyone that when they get out to do their morning jogs, or they do dynamic movement, or yoga, or any kind of combat sports, or lift weights, just have it on the forefront of your mind that I'm thankful for my arms today. I'm thankful for my heart. I'm thankful for this body as I'm moving it here. I'm thankful for the blood. I'm thankful to great Creator for giving me this life, that I can move the body. And so I think, to me, that's the spiritual component to it. And we know that physical component that happens is that we get stronger. The body helps to be more insulin sensitive. When we move, we release a lot of what they call feel-good neurotransmitters. It helps reduce stress and all that. And movement protects the brain too, as well. And so those are just a little bit from our understanding too. You want to throw in there? Sorry,
No.
And well, I was going to ask you real quick, Chelsea, I know you're holding baby girl there, and oh my gosh, she's so beautiful. Not to get off subject, but I remember I was in Red Lake, and I was trying to be so funny. I was trying to be so motivating, and the crowd was kind of honing in on my message, and then out of nowhere, baby girl just walks out on the court, and everybody just all pay attention to her and took over, right? And
stole your limelight, yeah.
She literally stole my limelight. So I thought that was funny, because I know Superman just went up, and then I was supposed to go up, and then it's like, man, like today is not Chance's limelight at all. But and one thing, I'm really proud of you, Chelsea, because I watched you. I watched you go from this. I watched you become a mom and now a spouse. Like, how has movement helped you because there's a lot of moms watching. How's movement helped you as a mom and as a spouse?
Yeah, that's a great question. It's parenting, it's absolutely no joke. It is the most challenging in all of those areas, physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally. It is a big challenge to raise, this young little life. And I think I was always a person who cared about fitness and movement and being strong, kind of from a cultural perspective, and also from a feminist perspective. I used to live in New York City, and when you live there, you get catcalled everywhere you go, and you get kind of harassed by men on the street. And so that's when I started to get really strong and and start to lift weights in the gym, and to because I wanted to be person. I was very proud of how independent I was, and that I could take care of myself financially, physically, all those different ways. And then what I didn't realize that I was training for is motherhood. And I didn't realize what a challenge that would be, whether it be going through the pregnancy. I mean, often it's not looked at this way by a dominant culture, but pregnant women are the strongest people on earth. And delivery, childbirth, all that stuff is just, I just could have never imagined how challenging all that would be. And then I had a chubby little baby. So we were carrying around this little 50-pound ball of you know, she actually now weighs 35 pounds after she started walking. Now she's a lot easier to carry. She's 2.5 years old. But even that, I mean, I just would have never imagined how hard it is to carry around this little chubby baby, like everywhere you go for over a year, you know? So being physically fit and active, I always say, thank God, because Creator gave us this big, heavy baby that we got to take care of. And I think we did a pretty good job of it, and we're still doing it. But you just, and this goes for men, for women, for everybody. Like, you know, for the young people out there listening, you never know the challenges that life is going to throw your way. Maybe you get yourself in injury, you know, maybe you become the primary caretaker for one of your grandparents or for one of your parents. Maybe you have a chubby baby like me and Thosh had. Like, you just never know the physical challenges that life is going to throw your way. And so start preparing when you're young. And I'm 32 years old and I've had a baby, and I feel stronger than I've ever felt in my life. So fitness doesn't end when you're 18 and graduate high school and you're not on the basketball team anymore. You know, fitness doesn't have a beginning and an end. If you look at photos of Lakota chiefs from the late 1800s, you'll see a row of 90-year-old men sitting on the ground cross-legged, like no problem. What nursing home in America could you go to and see, you know, people comfortably seated on the ground, stand up, walk around, you know, wearing heavy regalia? Like, that's what our ancestors were accustomed to doing. You wouldn't go into a teepee and see a comfortable reclining chair sitting there, right? Like, we were mobile, active people from birth to death. And so we got to maintain and carry on that tradition.
That's a funny analogy that, yeah, there weren't recliners in there, you know, and that, I mean, that is so true, you know, and just to hear you guys' stories, man, is like, people should just want to move no matter what. Just movement is so important. We're still here as tribal people, the last ones left, you know, like, I mean, that our survival has been our language. It's been our song. More importantly, it's been our spirituality. And movement is in all of that, you know? And like I was sharing earlier before we broadcast, I was told today by my doctor, I had to go get checked out, you know, after the accident. Marcus was encouraging that, so I did. And the doctor told me today, man, you can't do anything for a week. You can't exercise for a week. And I got emotional. In the doctor's office. And I'm not a guy that you can just look at and say, hey, you know, he's in shape, you know, hey, you know, he's so fit. I'm not even that, you know. And if for any listener out there, you don't have to be this, you know, rock solid, you know, oh, you look like you work out type of person to want to work out. That's how you get there, is doing it constantly, doing it all the time. But you don't even have to want to do it. And that's one thing I love about, you know, Chelsea, you and Thosh, that, you know, you guys just want to promote wellness. You're not here to promote how to look like a physique athlete. You're here just to, and I know everyone on this panel, lacrosse, basketball, it doesn't matter. So we're going to go into our next set of questions, but I was told by the doctor that you can't work out for a week. And man, like, I lost it. So anybody back home, you know, wellness, movement, wellness, fitness, it's not a get skinny thing. It's a live for a long time thing, so that you could be 90 years old and cross your legs and have your own ceremony, whatever it may be. So thank you guys all for that first round of questions. We're going to go over here one more time. Xavier, you go to one of the most historical Indian universities in the country. And I am proud to say that I am a product of Haskell Indian Nations University. I may be recruiting, but you know what? Haskell has taught me so much, and I see it as a responsibility. You're a great athlete. You're a great sibling. You're a great student. You know, how has movement given you the ability to balance all of those things?
Like what Thosh was saying just a little while ago, movement, I feel, is more than just physically. It's the mentally and spiritually. It really helps me out. I feel like when a lot of things are on my plate and I just need to kind of relax, I pick up a ball and I go shoot, or I'll get on the bike with my brother and we'll go for a couple mile bike run, or just running, or even walking. Like, I've never really appreciated, I mean, I kind of took for granted nature. We have there's a trail right here that kind of cuts down the wetlands of Lawrence, and I started walking that trail. Me, my dad, my little brother, my little sister, and it's something we took for granted that really wasn't, that I didn't really appreciate until kind of coronavirus kind of happened. But when towards the end of school year, when coronavirus kind of came during my spring break, it was, so I had to finish my semester at home and online. And towards the end of the semester, when everything kind of caught up during finals week, and I was studying every day, and it's kind of hard just being home doing it. I was like, come on, Junior, let's go for a walk. And then I'd go for that walk down that trail, and it really collected myself, and I feel like that movement, just that alone, really kind of helped me mentally, kind of put me back, kind of grounded me again. And I feel like stuff like that I took for granted. And then I'm just glad I have a able body to allow me to do things like that.
And I see that you kind of get that from your pops, because every night he'll go and he'll do that walk, and he'll do a lot of thinking. He kind of, the cool part of it, not even just like him doing a lot of thinking, but people chime in, you know, and he makes them feel good. He makes them feel good, you know, when he kind of acknowledges them, and, you know, things like that, you know. So that movement doesn't just help you, but it helps so many other people, you know, and it encourages and motivates people. So, you know, thank you for those words. So, Anahangwas, I think it's amazing that you are a fourth generation women's lacrosse player, and the youngest to play on the national team. And I know I'm going to butcher the national team's name, and I apologize for that. Maybe you can what was the national team you played for?
Haudenosaunee.
Okay. And the youngest on the team, and I believe that they went on to win the gold in the qualifying round. What advice would you give to other younger lacrosse players that compete against older athletes?
Don't be scared. I feel like every opportunity you get, you're there for a reason, and just to take full advantage of it. And the only thing you can do is give it 100%, and every time you're going to get better. And especially playing with older people, they have so much more knowledge, and they share that with you. And even playing with Haudenosaunee, it was so special because I always looked up to them, you know, because they play with my mom, and they've always been there. And it was like playing with my sisters and my aunties, you know, because they were always there for me. And every time I needed help, they were always there.
So you weren't scared when you went to try to make the team, right? You were like, let's go.
Yeah, I was definitely a little bit nervous, but I was ready.
And what would you tell someone that's right now, there's a native kid somewhere who may try to try out for an older travel team, you know, what would you say to her?
I would say everything comes for a reason. So even if you don't make a team, or even if you're scared to try out for a team because you're scared, you always will. At the end of the day, if you don't make the team, you'll get better, and that's all that matters.
You just got to keep coming back, you know. You got to keep coming back, and it's not always going to work out, you know, the first time. And you guys could probably all contest of it that, you know, sometimes it may not work the first round, so you have to come back and try again. And that's what we want to promote to Movement is Medicine to a lot of our listeners, is that it does take patience. You got to nickel and dime. You know, think of how many of you guys might have got cut from a team, or, you know, got selected over, you know, but you are where you are now, you know. So thank you for your words. I appreciate that. Okay, Thosh, Chelsea. Native athletes were some of the greatest in the world. Jim Thorpe, Billy Mills. And do you think we still have the framework to see more elite Native athletes? And if so, what are they?
You can go ahead.
Yeah, I think that just with kind of everything we've been talking about, like all of the teachings from our ancestors, if we're following, walking in a good way, walking from the heart, with peace in our mind, peace in our heart, I think that puts us really on that good path to excelling. Like just like these young people are talking about, they carry those teachings. And when we look at indigenous food systems and try to reconnect to those and reconnect to other whole, real, natural foods, that we start to put ourselves in that place of being successful and really drawing from a lot of inspiration, just like Xavier was talking about, drawing inspiration from where he comes from and playing with pride on the court. And there's just so much, that we have that are resources for a lot of our young people to get into a place of where they're going to excel in sport. And I believe that healing has to be front and center for all of our young people and everybody who wants to be successful, not just in sport, but anything in our life. And as we know that our people are in the process of suffering from, or excuse me, in the process of healing from the recent historical trauma that's not so far back in a lot of our generation, right? And many times it's the unresolved grief and unresolved trauma that really prevent a lot of our people from excelling. And I think that when our people are focused on healing and focused on building themselves up from inside out, spiritually, physically, mentally, emotionally, taking care of their body, abstaining from substances, and feeding their body with good medicine and good food and following their teachings, I think that really empowers and puts our people in a place of being successful, because we have amazing athletics in our, as indigenous people. We have that, right? And all of our people across all Turtle Island were big runners. We look at the game out on the West Coast, and those people played a game called sticks. We look at stick ball. We look at double ball. We look at lacrosse. We look at the canoe cultures. We look at the horse cultures. There's just amazing athleticism that we have in our ancestry. And so I believe that we have all those resources still today. We have to believe, we have to foster young people in a way where they understand that's who they are and that's where they come from. And we have the tools to do that. We have to foster that and make that something that our young people are believing at an early age.
Yeah, that is so true, and one thing that I'm working on, and, let's get it straight for everybody. One thing that I'm working on, we battle every day. We battle to be, to move, to promote movement every day. There's days that you don't want to get up and go work out. There's days that you don't want to go shoot free throws. There's days that you don't want to stretch out and go throw the ball. I mean, heck, there's some days that I don't want to be a dad. I just want to sit on the couch and be a 40-year-old kid, right? But we have to train ourselves, and that's, hey, Thosh, but we have to train ourselves, and like one thing that I'm thinking, and I'm working really, really hard on it is, always on the go, rushing around, is like staying away from trans fats, staying away from food that their biggest concern is shelf life. It's not if it's nutrition, and if there's no nutrition in it. And they sell a lot of this in our tribal communities, on our reservations. Like the biggest sales are sodas and trans fats, trans fats foods, So you're right, Thosh. We have to train ourselves. We have to put in our mindset that movement is important. We can all get out and go walk around. We can all get out and go, do whatever. But if we don't put it in our mind, we will never get to where we want to go. That's just the honest truth. It's just like prayer and spirituality. If you're not spiritual about it, it won't work out the way that you want it to. If you don't put it in your frame of mind that you want to be what you want to become, it won't happen. So anyway, sorry about all that. I mean, let me ask all y'all this question, okay? And then we'll jump around. I know there's some people asking questions online, and I think the center is, doing the best in answering it. But with all that's going on in the world today, Let's see. Let me go over here. I'm trying to read some of these questions here. Okay, yeah, that's a good one. Let's go over here. Movement is a challenge, and it sometimes can be difficult. How do you deal with working out or doing, movement on days that you don't want to do? Thosh, Chelsea, we'll go with you.
Thosh doesn't have those days. I do. He's like such a spaz. If he doesn't get to work out, he's like, he's like loses his mind. But I will speak for the normal people out there because I have those days where I don't want to move.
Right.
And one thing that I say to everybody is like, don't be so hard on yourself all the time. We absolutely do not have the boot camp mentality where you get off your butt and you're lazy and this and that, So for some people that works really well and they respond to that well. Like a lot of athletes like it when their coaches are really hard on them because it like psychologically they have the ability to deal with that. But unfortunately, like in the mainstream American fitness culture, when it's all about looks and it's all about get off your butt and this and that doesn't work very well in Native communities a lot because we're experiencing a lot of shame. And like you mentioned, we have a lot of food deserts. We have high rates of health disparities. All of these are products of a difficult history that we've been through collectively that we don't have any control over right now. And so we don't like to place a lot of like personal shame or blame on a person if they haven't come as far along in their wellness journey as they would like to. There's a lot of factors there. So, I would just say sometimes what you can look at to feel okay about yourself that day, if you haven't been able to move or cook that healthy meal, is are there other things that you're doing to practice wellness that actually don't require a whole lot of action? For me, I like to stay away from gossip. I like to stay away from foul language and talking bad about people. I like to be able to say that I was a good mom and I was very attentive with my daughter that day, that I didn't get in a fight with my spouse that day, that we have treated each other with respect. I'm a sober person. I don't do drugs or alcohol. And so every day that, addiction is a huge issue that I've seen in my family and my community growing up. And something I have a lot of sympathy and compassion for. And so every day that I live my life without substance abuse is something I'm proud of. So I think that there's a lot of these other factors of wellness that we can look at and say, okay, maybe I didn't kick my butt in the gym today, but at least I practiced X, Y, and Z, and I'm still contributing to my personal wellness that way.
Yeah, that's good. And I have something too I want to add to that as well. And I think that what's important for people, of course, that we talked about earlier is first adopt the mindset is that movement, make it a part of your personal culture. It's your culture or your religion to be physically active every day because our body, our life relies upon that. So I think it starts with the mind, and then the days that we don't feel like moving, I think that what we should do is people can really learn easy, dynamic warm-ups that are very simple that we do all the time in our welfare culture trainings at people of all athletic levels, all ages. And we do have some resources on our social media, welfare culture. We share a little bit about that. And I think if people were to learn a more dynamic movement, what they can do just standing up on their own 2 feet, using their breath, and that starts to slowly put you into the, you start to get all of those good endorphins going, and then you start getting motivated and you start wanting to do more. Because I do have those days, and I start off real simple and easy, and before you know it, I'm swinging my 97-pound kettlebell and doing a bunch of jumping all over things.
Yeah, so that's true.
I think that it's good that if people learn the very basics and learn what they're capable of, and understand that we're not feeling motivated because we haven't moved. It's funny. It's kind of this weird thing. And once we get moving, we're like, oh, now I feel great. Now I got things going. My heart rate's up and I'm motivated.
Yeah. And then just to piggyback off that. So I guess to put it into a really concise tip is like, if you don't feel like exercising that day, that you have the energy to do that, tell yourself that you're going to do 5 minutes of stretching and warm up and deep breathing. And every time I do that, I guarantee you I end up doing more than what I thought I was going to do, because it's just those initial couple minutes where you already will get like an endorphin release and a little burst of happiness that makes you feel like, oh, this isn't a chore. This is a benefit. This makes me feel good to move around. And so, or even taking a walk outside. So just tell yourself, okay, maybe I'm not going to work out today. I'm going to do 5 minutes, and I guarantee you'll end up doing more.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I know that. So I guess yes or no question, Thosh. Is there days that you don't want to work out?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, right.
I get those for sure.
Like when?
Because I'll tell you this right now, Chelsea. When I go through Instagram and I see Thosh like swinging that big old kettlebell and then doing this like that, I mean, I get my standing rock comes out. I just say, "Oh, next," and then I scroll to the next one, But how about you? How about you, Xavier? How do you handle days that you don't want to work out? I mean, so I guess that would be the same thing to you. Is how do you deal with working out on days that you don't want
to? I feel like when I have a friend with me, it motivates me more to do more. It could be a friend. For me, it's usually my brother, my little brother, little sister, or even if you have a dog or anything. I feel like having somebody with you also working out, it brings you out more. And then another thing, I remember like growing up, I always just wanted to be good at what I did. They always say, if you're not doing anything right now, the next person's doing twice as more. So you always have that inner kind of battle of you got to be better than the next person. That was for like maybe like any sports. If there's Native youth out there that really want to get better at a specific sport, basketball, football, lacrosse, anything, you always know in the back of your mind that, oh, there's someone else putting in the work. I got to get up and I got to do it. So that's what I always told myself growing up in Lame Deer, and I just had to motivate myself like that.
Yeah, and it is true. It's always good to have someone to go with you, like to have a partner with you. And Hangwas, same question for you. There's days that you may not want to, hit the lacrosse field or whatever it may be. And how do you handle it? How do you handle being a great athlete? When you don't want it, on days you don't want to be.
I would say definitely keeping my dreams like in the back of my head and knowing like the goals that I want to achieve, and nothing comes easy. And also like my mom and dad, they don't play anymore because they're driving me around, and so I'm so thankful that, and I play for them, consistently, always trying my best, and even for my grandparents, because they can't play anymore, and always making sure I give it 100%.
Yeah, good. Yeah, and I can attest with what everybody's saying. I know I don't look like it, but I'm 46 years old, and I think, or I'm 26 for the 20th time. No one tells me to get up and go work out. No one makes me get in there and get on that Peloton. I just do it because, movement, like everybody here, it's my life. It's my livelihood, And so, man, you guys' input was so powerful. And I try to make it where I could answer some questions, online and whatnot. Maybe we'll get to them. So just real quick, I want to do something. I'm going to do a little challenge. I want to do something like a little challenge with you. Let's just say this. So real quick, real briefly, but take your time, but real quick. Today, if you could be a PE coach today, what types of activities would you encourage them to do for 1 week starting today? We'll start with you, Anna Hangwas. If you could be a PE coach, what do you got going on for these kids this week?
I would say overall, definitely just having fun and just going out there and giving it your all, and definitely like running definitely helps everything and just helps overall.
Mm-hmm. Xavier, if you can be a PE coach this week, what are you going to tell the kids to do for a week?
If I was a PE coach for the week, I would try to get the kids to power dance. That's my favorite cardio right there. All my life I fancy danced, and that movement right there, it boosts personally, it boosts everything for me, physically, mentally, spiritually, because power dancing is really, it's a culture embracer. I don't know if that's a word or not, but
No, it is.
yeah, if you can turn some YouTube a drum group, or look up your favorite power dance that you always, or even smoke dance. I know they do that up in the Northeast, but if you can do that for a week, maybe just if you always wanted to try it, that's personally sometimes when I'm home alone, I'll whip out my sticks, put on the YouTube, put on some fancy tunes, and get my cardio in like that.
Man, that's gonna be a cool camp. Cool camp for all these kids for a whole week.
For sure.
Chelsea, Thosh, if you could be PE coaches this week, what's going on?
I would probably encourage like flexibility and yoga type exercises, because I think that that's something that's neglected a lot in athletics. And I always encourage people to synchronize what they're doing with their body with what's going on in their state of mind. And I think that flexibility is so important for us, both in body and in mind, and to just be an open-minded person, somebody who's ready to accept new challenges with grace, and to just be fully prepared for what life throws at you. So I would do that.
Cool.
And I would encourage them to get out every day and out on the land,
Yeah.
and get reconnected to Mother Earth, and take their exercising and their fun outside, take their dancing outside, take all that stuff outside, and just get reconnected to Mother Earth.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I think mine would be definitely a boot camp, because it would be 11 o'clock curfew, get in bed at 11 o'clock. We're waking up at 7, and we're going to have fun all day. That would be at Camp Rush, because that's where it starts. You have to rest, and it's the little things that make you into something great. It's the little things, and man, I'm just so grateful and thankful that you guys all were able to join Center for Native American Youth. And I'm just proud of each and every one of you. I know that you guys have a full summer ahead of you. And, I think one thing that I could say about all of us is that we're busy people. And the reason why we're busy people is because movement is an important aspect of our lives. So anybody back home listening in, chiming in, who may even, listen to this later on, that, movement is up to you. It's not up to your boyfriend, not up to your girlfriend, not up to your spouse, not up to, your chairman or anybody. It's up to you what you want to become. You can network all you want. You can have as many friends you can social media all you want. You can, whatever it is that's important to you. But at the end of the day, you are the product, and you have to take care of the product. And the product is going to take you all over the place, all over the world, you being the product. And one thing, if there's any advice that I would give to anybody, it's when it comes to movement, when it comes to good medicine, is, be impressed with you, be impressed with yourself, and don't wait on anybody to validate you, And I am so grateful, and I would like to thank the entire panel for joining us. For any of you all back home, these individuals are very busy. They're all over the place. They're very active. I want to wish you guys all the best in your travels and your journeys and your responsibilities in your workouts. Don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, every other week, you can join us right here on our Center for Native American Youth Facebook page. We will be promoting it. You'll see us back here every other Wednesday. We'll have a great message. And, I just want to thank Nikki and Jen and Jarrett, the entire staff, for, setting this all up today. And if there's anybody that has any information or wants to visit with anybody for Center for Native American Youth, you can always follow them on Facebook. Join us in a couple weeks as we have our next programming. We'll have information out for you in that. And we just want to wish you guys all the best during these times. I know that it seems pretty harsh out there, but play your part and make a difference for all of us. Again, I'm Chance Rush. I want to thank you guys for your thoughts and your prayers as I journeyed home from my homelands and Fort Berthold Indian Reservation up in North Dakota, back here to Oklahoma, that I can be with my family. Thank you for your prayers, and I'm doing good. And after listening to this panel today, I want to get out there and I want to work out. But in order for me to work out, I have to recover and I have to rest and I have to be in a place to work out. So that's one thing I want to encourage you here in closing is put yourself in a place that you can get out and you can move to the great medicine. So I want to thank all of our listeners. And if you're back over there at the center, we're going to go ahead and wrap up today's session. We'll see you guys in 2 weeks. Look for the information on Instagram, Facebook, all your social media outlets. With that being said, I am Chance Rush. You guys have a good one.